name is Siddharth, and welcome to my channel, Oracle Expert. Now, before we start, I would request you, everyone, like to subscribe my channel and give a thumbs up, like my video. That would even encourage me to post more videos that could be more informative. And basic thing is, I would like everyone to understand the Oracle as a tool from beginner level to the advanced topics. So, yeah, before we start, I'd just like to introduce myself. So, I have over 15 years of experience in IT. During this journey, I have worked for various multinational companies like Accenture to IBM. Right? So, this is my first video for the channel where I will provide you the basic information about Oracle as a tool, right? And then as we gradually move on and the further videos I'll be posting, those will be for more advanced topics. Now, speaking about Oracle, like it's a huge topic. In fact, an ocean of information to speak about. So it can't be contained. So it requires more and more information, more and more videos that would help people who want to learn about Oracle. And I can help them with my videos, with my expertise I have in this area. Right. So let's start with the further slides. Let's move on to the next slide. Yep. So in this video, I'll cover the following topics where we will learn the database fundamentals and yep. So the topics we will cover in this video are what is Oracle, what is RDBMS, normalization, first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, BCNF. So we will cover till BCNF, and going further will make things complex. Like that's what I wanted to put a stop till BCNF. What it does mean is like if you go further means it's like splitting of more information, like information will split to more parts, and that would in fact become more complex. So we'll stick with BCNF. Now let's move on to the next slide. Yeah. So now what is Oracle? Now Oracle is a RDBMS tool. I would say it's a very highly efficient tool. I have even worked in other DB tools like Teradata, but if I compare that with Oracle, so Oracle has a very advanced functionalities. So it's like I was working in Teradata. It's like I felt like my hands are tied and I couldn't do much there. But the flexibility that Oracle gives as type of analytical function that it has is really awesome. Yeah, but what I can say about Teradata is like it's a like if you are comparing as a tool to load data, yeah, it's definitely faster than Oracle. But overall, I've been working in Oracle, so I just support Oracle, and I'd say that's the best business, right? So now you'll be wondering, like, there are a lot of database tools in the market, so why and who uses Oracle? Right. So as I've mentioned here, it's the point is like Oracle is a relation database management tool. So it is generally used by those organizations which store the structured data. So now if I'm talking about the structured data, so the organization which store the structured data are more like if I take an example, it's like the banks or the retail sector or telecom. So they store the structured data. They don't store the unstructured data. right? So let's go to the next slide. Yeah. Now I'll talk a bit about RDBMS here. What is RDBMS? RDBMS is nothing but it's a relational database management system, right? Which stores uh, structured data. And I'm emphasizing on structure and unstructured data here. So I'll speak a bit about the structured data, like what is structured data, so that it's beginner topic, so that any beginner is watching this video should understand what exactly structured data means. Like, let me give an example here. Like the data we store in banks, right? So when you go to a bank, what happens is like uh, you need to have a bank account, right? The bank account will have all the information like your balance, your transaction details, and it will be linked to a particular uh, information that is called the bank account. So the bank account will be linked to your bank balance or the transactions. So that is the key element that would link to all these details. So until unless you have those key and those child or detailed items, that is how it is called structured data. So we have a structure here, right? So that is why we call it as structured. Now, what is unstructured data? Now, let us look as an example like portals such as Amazon or Flipkart, like which stores images or videos and its details. Like if you want to go to a website like Amazon or Flipkart, you can find a lot of images and videos and the details about the product they are selling, right? So, but it doesn't show or comprehend any relationship there. But it's like it's a video being stored and you are storing the details. So there is no such key element to look after there. So it's that's why we call it as unstructured data. Okay, so that's why Oracle is a structured data and it stores the information which are really structured. So what is an RDBMS like? It stores structured data, it stores normalized data, and as I mentioned that the information stored will be related to each other. So that's what RDBMS is all about. So let's go on to the next slide. So that is, let's speak about normalization. I had mentioned that in the previous slide. So what is normalization? Now it's a process of organizing data. It's a process to reduce redundancy. Like, so what a normalization does is it divides the data into multiple objects, or here I can say tables here. So we split the data into multiple tables and store it. And there should be key information to relate it, right? So the various normal forms that we have is first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, and BCNF. So as I mentioned in the beginning, so we'll stick till BCNF. We won't go further about that from BCNF. So now what I can say is like normalization is a concept in RDBMS, which is used to design the structure of storing data, like so that, so that the information that can be stored efficiently and the retrieval will be efficient based on a key element and an easy and faster way to modify as well, right? So it reduces the redundancy. Now let's move on to the next slide. Yeah. So this is the first normal form. Now what we see here is the first normal form. So what is a normal form? Right. So it's like every value which is atomic, right? It must only hold a single value attribute. Should not be duplicates, and it should not allow multi-value attribute, composite attributes, and their combinations. Now, you see an example here. This is a denormalized data where you can see we have employee ID, employee name, and a phone number and employee state. Now, as I mentioned, that does not allow multi-value attribute. So a single attribute is having multiple values. Now, how do we normalize this? You can see an example here. This is normalized, right? So what I've tried to do is, you can see this. There were multiple phone numbers, but we have split those phone numbers into different records. Now, which has employee ID, employee name, phone number. There are two records created instead of storing like this. Right? So this is what we do in the first normal form. Now let's move on to the next slide. Yes. So this is the second normal form. Now, what are the basic criteria for a second normal form? Is that it should be in first normal form, and all the non-key attributes should be related to a key attribute or primary key. Now you can see this example here. This is in the first natural form, that is, you can see this. There are two teacher IDs, the subjects and the teacher age. How do we transform this into the second normal form? Now you see this, the teacher ID is coming twice here and the teacher's age is coming here. So why do we need to store the teacher age in each and every record? It is not required, right? So what we have done here is we have split that to a separate, like making it to a separate table where I'm storing the teacher ID and their age. So what I can say is this is a teacher's detail. Now the transaction part, what the teacher teaches. Now you can see this here. What is the subject that the teacher teaches? Now the teacher is teaching, teacher ID is 25 and the teacher is taking chemistry. Now other details, if we go ahead and relate with this ID to this table, so we can find out the details of the teacher like the age. So we don't need that information. So this is how the second normal form is being transformed. Now let's go and look into the third normal form. Now, what is the third normal form? What I say is it should be in the second normal form, and all the non-key elements are dependent on a primary key, and there is no transitive functional dependency. Now, how do we transform this particular piece of data into third normal form? You can see this. We have employee IDs, employee name, zip, employee state, and employee city. So instead of doing everything, we can in fact split this information into two different tables. Like you can see this is employee ID, and this is the repeatable information, right? So we don't need that to be captured again and again. So we have created another table where we are storing the employee zip, employee state, and employee city. So this is the information. So this is a key. So as we know, it's a unique, like the zip code is generally unique for every city. So we can take that as a primary key here. Now this key, all this information like the state and city, all depends upon the key element that is called zip code. Now instead of storing all this information here, we can just put a zip code and that could be linked to the employee details. Now the employee ID and the employee name, and where the zip code, it's simply translate that. Hope that's understandable. And that's so this is the third normal form. So let's now go to the next slide and look into the BCNF. Now what is a BCNF? BCNF is nothing but the boys scored normal form. What is the basic criteria for that? It should be in the third normal form, and every functional dependency should be a super key for the table. Now you can see this, employee ID, now employee country, employee department, department type, and employment department number. Now you can see here what I've tried to do is I have tried to split the country information into separate tables. Like this is a country table. We can term it as a country table or employee and country link. So you can see this employee belongs to India, this employee belongs to UK. Now we have separated the department information. Now the designing department, the department type, and the employee department number. So how they are related here. Now there is a linking. How do we link these two tables? Now there is a link between these two tables that is created as it is employee ID department, employee department, right? So you can see this. This particular employee works. This particular employee works for particular this department. So we have this information here. You can see this. So it is a relation table. So this is how we create a BCNF. And I think, yeah, we have reached to the end of the video, and hope it was informative and it gave you an insight about the database fundamentals. So hope you people have learned from it. And yeah, I would like to request again to subscribe to my channel and like my video, and that would encourage me. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you very much.